Dong Xoai was a long flight across the Pacific Ocean from the United States. The village was about 50 air miles north of Saigon and about 25 miles from the Cambodian border. Then, as today, it sits at the crossroads of two major highways, one running north-south and the other running east-west. The Military Assistance Command Vietnam, or MACV, had divided the country into 4 military regions or corps. I Corps, as we call One Corps, was the northernmost part of the country and bordered the DMZ with North Vietnam. 4 Corps was in the southernmost part of the country and covered the Mekong Delta. Phu Quoc was in 3 Corps, where the capital Saigon and the city of Bien Hoa were located. In 1971, Dong Xoai was a village in the Don Luan District of Phu Quoc Province in South Vietnam. Dong Xoai is still there, but the province name has been changed to Binh Phuc. Phu Quoc Province was in the northeastern corner of 3 Corps, bordering 2 Corps on the east and Cambodia on the north. The land varied. To the west and south, the land was low and swampy where rice could be grown. The north and east was drier, and there were large rubber plantations owned and operated by French companies such as Michelin. This topo map shows the rubber plantation Tuan Loy marked by the rows of green dots. Each plantation had its own settlement, much like the company towns in coal country in the early 1900s in the United States. Most of these were marked destroyed on our maps. This map shows the deployment of Special Forces teams in 1965 in 3 Corps. Special Forces A-Team 342 was based at Dong Xoai. Its primary support was provided by the B-Team B-34, shown in red, located at Song Bay. There were 3 other A-teams in the province. This topo map segment shows the details of the village of Dong Xoai and the camp where the A-team was located. The airstrip shown in the Very Lonely War video, where I took off in the O-1 Bird Dog and where the air mobile operation was staged, was located on the side of the road LT-013 to the west of the village. This image zooms out to show more of the area around Dong Xoai. Each of the squares in the grid printed on the map measures 1,000 meters by 1,000 meters, or 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. We referred to a kilometer as a click. The grids were 1 click by 1 click. Each square had a numbered position. The vertical scale can be seen to the left. The camp was in the 75th row of this map. The distance of the camp to any point on the circle is 3 clicks or 3 kilometers. This circle is important because that was the maximum range of the Viet Cong's 82mm mortar they used to shell the camp and to support ground attacks against the camp. The 50 caliber machine gun in the slideshow was positioned to fire on the high ground positions that were to the north of the camp. Mortars cannot be fired when there is overhead cover from trees and tall jungle vegetation. They had to be situated in open areas shown in white on the map. The closed loop shows small areas of higher ground. These were the areas that the 50 caliber machine gun covered. After a second ground attack during my tour with the team, our NCOs acquired a second 50 caliber machine gun to give us more coverage of these high grounds. The camp at Dong Xoai was built in 1965 by a Navy Construction Battalion unit. These units were called CBs. They had heavy equipment and the skills to build defensive fortifications, bunkers, and living quarters in combat areas. During the early phase of the construction, before the fortifications were built, the camp was attacked by an estimated 2,000 Viet Cong in a well-coordinated operation. The graphic novel Dong Xoai, Vietnam 1965 by Joe Kubert provides an accurate account of the battle. Eventually, reinforcements routed the attackers, but not before hundreds of South Vietnamese soldiers who had come to the rescue had been killed. Casualty among the Americans at the camp were high. Lieutenant Charles Williams, the A-Team's assistant leader, and CB Marvin Shields, both suffering from multiple wounds, attacked and destroyed a heavy machine gun position that threatened to wipe out the remaining camp defenders. Both men were wounded during this effort. Marvin Shields subsequently died on the medical evacuation helicopter en route to a military hospital after the fighting subsided. Charles Williams recovered from his wounds. Both were awarded the Medal of Honor for their actions. After the attackers were routed by reinforcements, the camp was finished as shown in this image from 1965. Take note of 3 points in the picture. The first is the dark area with an H. This is an asphalt helicopter landing pad. The second is the two dark circular areas near the top center of the picture. These are the two 105mm howitzer positions. The third is the rusty roofed building between the landing pad and the howitzer positions. This is the Camp Medical Clinic. The camp was turned over to the Regional Force companies in January 1970, and 18342 was withdrawn. I've not been able to verify the date MAT 111 was established. However, given that those of us who were there were replacements for the original team members, MAT 111 was probably established at Dong Xoai when the regional forces took control. This picture shows the overall layout of the camp when I arrived in May 1971. You can reorient yourself by locating the helicopter landing pad, the howitzer positions in the upper third of the picture, and the medical clinic. The green areas outside the perimeter of the camp have overgrown the barbed wire. This is not desirable. It can provide cover for the Viet Cong as they crawl up to the outer perimeter on moonless nights, which happened on several occasions. The growth cannot be cut because the area outside the perimeter is a minefield. It cannot be burned because the mines will explode. The Army has very specific rules and procedures for laying out minefields, including accurate maps of the locations of the mines. Through proper channels, we queried the Army requesting a copy of the minefield map, and the reply was, "What minefield?" Earlier in the war, Agent Orange might have been used to defoliate the area, but not in 1971. The MAT team and the district team occupied the same two buildings that the 12-man A-team had. This building was the main team house where the radios were located and where access to the bunker was located. The other team house was used for some storage as sleeping quarters for some of us and our interpreters. Gary and I bunked here. The corner where the red arrow points is where the mortar round landed, wounding Gary. This is the .50 caliber machine gun position that was seen in the introductory images. This segment visually transitions the camp and the surrounding area as it existed in 1971 to the present day. The road at the top, the road at the right, and their intersection in the top right corner can be used as reference points as the images transition from the past to the present. I was asked at a meeting of the Veterans Breakfast Club here in Pittsburgh if I wanted to go back to Vietnam. My answer was that if I could go back to Dong Xoai and Phu Quang province as it was when I was there in 1971, I would be on the plane tomorrow. But for me, the Dong Xoai and Phu Quang that I know and would be willing to visit exists only in these photographs and in my memories.